At the age of 15, Miyamoto Musashi embarked on what the Japanese tradition calls Musha Shugyo, the warrior's pilgrimage. This journey wasn't just a physical wandering across the land. It was a spiritual and philosophical commitment. Musashi sought to test himself, to challenge his body and mind, and to deepen his understanding of the warrior's path through actual combat and rigorous introspection. As he traveled through Japan, he engaged in a series of duels, some against masters, some against multiple opponents. He fought not out of hatred, nor for fame, but to sharpen his perception, to confront his own fear, and to refine the essence of his martial art. Through these battles, he began to grasp a truth that few ever reach. Mastery is not about technique alone. It is about the state of mind behind the blade. Eventually, Musashi became a ronin, a masterless samurai, a wanderer by choice. He turned away from the hierarchy of lords and vassals, choosing instead to walk the solitary path. In doing so, he freed himself from the demands of society and stepped fully into his own authority. It was during this period that he encountered the strongest opponent of his life. After that duel, he made an unexpected decision. He would no longer fight to the death. He withdrew into solitude, into nature, and into deep contemplation. In a cave known as Reigando, he spent his final days writing. There, surrounded by stillness, he put into words the distilled wisdom of his life. The teachings that emerged were not just about swordsmanship. They were about consciousness, clarity, and the inner battle every human must face. One of his last works was a concise set of principles known as the Dokkodo, or the Path of Aloneness. It consists of 21 rules that reflect the timeless spirit of the warrior, uncluttered by ego, fear, or social expectation. In this final part of the series, we explore the last 7 of these teachings. Each is brief, but each contains an entire philosophy within it. Let's move through them slowly, with reverence and reflection. 15th, do not act according to customary beliefs. Human beings are creatures of habit. We often follow traditions, not because they are wise or meaningful, but simply because they are familiar. Musashi saw this tendency as dangerous. Customs can become prisons. They can blind us to truth. They can keep us small. To act according to custom is to give away your discernment. It is to copy rather than create, to conform rather than awaken. Musashi had seen how entire martial schools clung to outdated rituals, fearing innovation. He likely saw how society upheld hierarchies that were neither just nor effective, and he chose to step outside that system. This principle encourages us to live with our eyes open. Just because something is normal doesn't mean it is right. Many harmful ideologies, racism, sexism, even war, have been upheld simply because they were traditional. True wisdom begins when we dare to question what others accept without thought. Even in the smallest things, what we eat, how we celebrate, how we grieve, we can choose mindfulness over mindlessness. Musashi reminds us, let your choices be born from clarity, not conformity. 16th, do not collect weapons or practice with them beyond what is useful. Musashi was a master swordsman, but he never fetishized his weapons. He used them as tools, not trophies, not symbols of status. In his famous style, Niten Ichi Ryu, he wielded both a long sword and a short one. Each had a purpose. He knew their weight, their balance, their limits. But he warned against excess. There is no need for a warrior to surround himself with a dozen blades he will never use. That is vanity, not discipline. In modern terms, This speaks to our relationship with tools and possessions. We accumulate things. Books we'll never read, apps we never open, clothes we never wear. But every object we own also owns a part of our attention. This rule is a call to simplicity, not minimalism for aesthetic reasons, but intentionality. What truly serves your path, what sharpens your awareness, keep only that. Let go of the rest. Musashi also warned against emotional attachment to a particular weapon or tool. Even if you have a favorite, do not depend on it, because the moment you do, you've limited your adaptability. Real power lies in flexibility, in the ability to use whatever is at hand, in whatever situation arises. 17th, do not fear death. This is perhaps one of the most difficult teachings. We live in a culture that avoids the subject of death, hides it away, and covers it with euphemisms. But Musashi faced it every time he drew his sword. For him, death was not an enemy, it was a teacher. To fear death is to live in anxiety. It shrinks our choices. It makes us compromise our truth. But when we accept death, not passively, but with courage, we begin to live fully. We stop postponing what matters. We stop waiting for permission. We speak more honestly. We love more deeply. And perhaps most importantly, we learn not to cling. Everything ends. Every breath, every season, every chapter in our lives. Musashi teaches us to walk with death, not in morbid fascination, but in quiet understanding. When we do, we become unshakable. 18. Do not seek to possess goods or dwellings for old age. Musashi lived much of his life without permanent shelter. He slept under the stars, in temples, in caves. He did not fear discomfort. What he feared was dependence. When we build our sense of safety around possessions, we become vulnerable. We begin to guard, to hoard, to worry. This rule is not a rejection of planning or providing. Rather, it is a reminder. Build inner strength, not outer walls. Many people spend their whole lives trying to secure the future, only to find that no amount of wealth can guarantee peace of mind. What brings real peace is the ability to adapt, to let go, to trust yourself in any environment. The more we prepare our soul, the less we need to prepare our shelter. 19. Respect Buddha and the gods without relying on their help. Faith can be beautiful, but Musashi warns us not to mistake reverence for dependency. Bow to the sacred, but do not wait for miracles. Pray if you must, but do the work. Train your body, discipline your mind, walk the path. Even the Buddha said, "Be a lamp unto yourself." Musashi echoes this. Trust in something greater, but let your actions be your true prayer. Do not wait for the universe to rescue you. Move, serve, create. In doing so, you honor the divine far more than through words alone. 20. You may abandon your body, but you must preserve your honor. This principle is profound. It means that the soul is greater than the flesh, that values are greater than survival. Musashi was willing to die, but not to betray his code. To him, honor wasn't about reputation, it was about alignment with one's truth. In our world, we are rarely asked to risk our lives, but we are often asked to compromise our integrity for comfort, for approval, for gain. Musashi's rule asks, what is the cost of betraying yourself? And is it worth it? To live with honor is to walk through life with a quiet power. It is to look in the mirror and know you did not abandon your deepest knowing. 21. Never stray from the way. This is the final and most encompassing principle. Stay on the path. Whatever your way is, art, healing, justice, service, walk it with devotion. There will be distractions. There will be temptations. You will want to quit, but do not stray. Musashi devoted his life to the sword, not just as a weapon, but as a form of spiritual cultivation. His focus was absolute. That's why he became a legend, not because he was stronger, but because he was more committed. Your way may look different. It may be softer, quieter, less visible. But if it is true to your soul, walk it with all your heart. Do not compare. Do not hesitate. Do not turn back. Because in the end, fulfillment does not come from achievements or applause. It comes from knowing that you stayed faithful to what called you. Conclusion. Musashi's 21 rules are more than ancient teachings. They are timeless mirrors. They reflect our distractions, our attachments, our fears. But they also point us toward clarity, courage, and depth. They remind us that the warrior's path is not about conquest, but about self-mastery. Let his words be your companion, not as commandments, but as questions. Where am I clinging? Where am I conforming? Where am I hesitating to walk my way? And if these reflections resonate with you, if you feel the fire of discipline awakening within, support this journey. Like the video, share your insights in the comments, and subscribe to the channel to continue walking the path of wisdom, one step at a time. Thank you for being here.